Grab you a milkshake and a hamburger. We're talking Riverdale. This is a review for Riverdale, Chapter 18, When a Stranger Calls. So I didn't like this episode. That's two in a row I didn't like. Last week's episode, of course, I didn't like because I just thought it was the functionaries, one of those there to be there episodes that connects, to the season-wide arc but doesn't do anything itself. This was a standalone episode, at least it felt like that, but it still kind of sucked. I think my biggest complaint was just how they handled Betty tonight, and it kind of just made her look stupid. So before we get into Betty, let's just get into the other two storylines that they had. Jughead, he's joining the Serpents. He's decided they need a man apiece on the Serpents, and that's going to be him. And he has to go through a initiation, which doesn't turn out to be much. He has to take care of the club dog. He has to recite some rules. He has to put his hand in a, I don't want to say cage. It's like a fish tank, Tristan. Anyway, where there's a serpent, which apparently doesn't have any venom, to get a knife. And then he's got to get, beat down by the rest of the Southside Serpents, but he ends up joining the Serpents. Like I said, he wants to be a man of peace. And, there's some friction between him and Archie. And Archie shows up at one point to tell him, hey, you got to break it off with Betty, which just kind of further pushes Jughead into joining the Serpents. And there's just not much more to that story. I am kind of glad that him and Betty broke off. Sorry, Bughead fans. But, that gets rid of that whole Betty, seeing Jughead joining the Serpents and, trying to balance the two worlds. And now they got, what's her name? Tony, hitting on him. And there's a love triangle and blah, blah, blah. It's just, Jughead's going to be all on his own with the Serpent. So there's probably some cooler stories there than what I thought was going to be. Unless he goes back to Betty. In which case, that storyline is just going to suck. Okay. So Veronica, meanwhile, her father's bringing in some investors back from New York, and there's some old friends of hers, the Sinclairs, and she's a good friend with their son, Nick, who's this bad boy, as she likes to call him, and he kind of shows up, he's flirting with her, she's kind of, flirting back, but eventually she's like, I'm with Archie here. Well, anyway, this guy's just a complete tool bag, douche nozzle. He likes to take drugs and hit on chicks even if they're not into him. And eventually he tries to rape Cheryl. Drug her drink and, date rape her. But, Veronica catches wise to this, and her and the Pussycats beat the shit out of him. Not too much more to say about that story. I mean, they just kind of set it up. Here's this guy from her past, and he's a complete douchebag, and he tries to put the moves on Veronica, but she pushes him off. Kind of timely with what's going on in Hollywood now with Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey, and just today they were talking about Charlie Sheen molesting Corey Haim. I don't think it was intentional, saying, hey, men are all perverts. They just happen to have that as part of their story. Anyway, this guy's a douchebag, and he might just get it from the Black Hood, which connects to Betty's storyline. So, Betty gets a call from the Black Hood. At least we think it's the Black Hood, because we find out a little later that letter that she got was sent from a different person than the person who sent the letter from to her mother, Alice. So there might be two Black Hoods. Prediction I made. So is this the real Black Hood, or is this a fake Black Hood who's calling Betty? And like I said, the Black Hood is calling her, starts threatening Polly, threatening all of her friends, and telling Betty, hey, you got to nix all these people out of your life because I'm obsessed with you, and if you want to find out who I am, you got to do what I say. And Betty goes along with it. It's like, first, the Black Hood's like, I can't stand your mother. Here, let me send you something. He sends her this old newspaper clipping of when her mother, a Southside Serpent, got arrested. And, Betty takes it to the Blue and Gold. prints an expose and says, hey, my mother is being a real bitch to everyone, our high horse, all high and mighty. She used to be a Southside Serpent, and she was arrested at one point. They don't say what she got arrested for, which kind of disappointed me. I'm hoping whatever she got in trouble for comes back up later, might be connected to the Black Hood, but they didn't mention what she got arrested for. It's just, a newspaper clipping. Hey, she's the Southside Serpent arrested and posted bail or something like that. They didn't explain what she was arrested for. And like I said, I hope they bring that back up later. But it was nice to see that bitch Alice get her comeuppance. Because Alice is nothing but just a total bitch. First season and this season, where she just judges everyone. She acts like, she's better than sliced bread. And I mean everyone, from the Blossom to the Lodges to the poor people on the South Side. She's got I don't know, some sort of middle class snobbery, which goes both ways. But anyway, it's good to see Alice get her comeuppance. But like I said, so Betty does that. Black Hood's like, hey, break up your friendship with Veronica. And there was a party scene with Veronica and her douchey, rapey friend, everyone was hitting up the JJ, the Jingle Jangle. And Betty just tears into Veronica, telling her what a phony bitch she is. And, Veronica's like, fuck it, we're not friends anymore. And we find out later that this was all set up by the Black Hood. And so Betty, says, yeah, I did it. And then she asked him some question. I can't remember what she asked him then. I know that the Black Hood's deal is if she does what he says, she can ask him a question and he will answer it. So she asked the question like, who are you underneath the hood? And the Black Hood, no. She asked, would I recognize you if, without your mask on? And the guy's like, yeah. And a little later, she's like, well, who are you? After I think she broke up with Jughead, because the Black Hood says like, hey, don't be hanging out with this Southside Serpent guy. I want you to break up with him. So she breaks up with Jughead. And then, he basically tells her to go to some house, where she goes to some house, finds a package with a Black Hood in it. And the Black Hood's like, yeah, you and I are the same. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, what is the Black Hood's obsession with her? But more importantly, why the hell is she helping him? And why is she doing what she says? Yes, he is threatening her sister and her friends, but that just seems like she'd be more motivated to go to the police. And when the police come at one point and tell her, hey, the letter you got doesn't match the letter your mother got, she'd say, oh, he's a fake Black Hood. Fuck it, I might as well tell the sheriff, this information, to safeguard her sister. I don't understand what Betty's motivation is. It seems to be fear, and, the Black Hood is controlling her, but at the same time, it's like, this asshole. At some point, she's got to say, fucking A, this motherfucker's ruining my life. I'm going to go to the police. At the end of the episode, Black Hood is pretty pissed at her for some reason. And he says, you know what? You got to make a choice. You betrayed me because you told Archie about this. She told Archie, but she won't tell the sheriff. Some of the time it makes sense why they don't go to the sheriff. Other times it just does not. And this is just one of them. Anyway, like I said, the Black Hood's like, I'm going to kill your sister unless you tell me someone else who deserves it. And she mentions Nick St. Clair, who is Veronica's douchey, rapey best friend. So now this guy could probably get killed, and who gives a shit? The guy was a douche even before he found out he was into date raping, so I could care less. Like I said, I wasn't feeling it this episode. It just seems like they're making Betty a moron for the sake of drama. Lily Reinhardt's performance I thought was pretty good, but I don't like how dumb they make Betty in this one episode. And aside from that, the other stuff, like, oh, Jughead joined the Serpents, okay. Veronica's got a friend who's a complete douchebag. It was fun seeing the her and the Pussycats beat the shit out of that guy. I did enjoy that. I guess that. Also at the party, it looked like Reggie was hooking up with Josie. Yeah, Reggie's getting himself a ship. I don't know what we call it. Josie and Reggie, like Jogi. If we do it the other one around, it'd probably just be Reggie with one G. So we'll go with Jogi. I'll ship that. Aside from that, like I said, just didn't enjoy the episode. Hopefully next week will be better. And that's all I got.